Hi everybody, we wanted to sit down, John and I, and put a little video together and talk about the impacts that the COVID-19 has had on our business. In many ways, it's business as usual. In some ways, we made adjustments, so we're looking forward to sharing these adjustments with you and keeping you involved in everything we're doing.
All right, so just a reference point. I almost forget what day it is. What is today? Thursday. Thursday the 9th of April. Yeah, this is going to be called, I think, the lost spring of 2020. But the good thing is that we're all confined to our houses, and people want to stay in their apartments, want to stay in their houses. They don't want to lose them. Multifamily, of course, is going to do well from that because people need to have a place to live. Every single government program put in place has got something to do with maintaining households, maintaining mortgage payments, maintaining some continuity of housing, and I think that's the theme so far. We've even seen large agency lenders, Fannie, Freddie, or the big lenders on on some of the larger properties that have now come out and said that they're going to give moratoriums to owners. Right away they came out and said that and give them time to pay because they knew they had some rent issues. But I can tell you, speaking to property managers around Phoenix, talking to owners, for the most part, April wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. We were talking about April anxiety, and for multifamily, we had very strong collections. And today's the 9th. By today, we would have found out just how different collections would have been, but very strong collections. And I'm going to tell you, my heart goes out to people that own hotels, that own retail, restaurants, that work in restaurants. I mean, we had 10% of the workforce in the United States now unemployed. Thank God they live somewhere and they're still staying there. And multifamily is holding up a lot better than other asset types right now. And I'm going to add just one thing, kind of at a global level. You know, by dumping a bunch of money into the economy, Jamison's got a lot of background in Wall Street and understands this as well as I do. When you do that, you essentially create some inflation. The hard assets go up in value because there's more money that's in the market. We just added a bunch of zeros to what was out there in the market. So we're not going to see this immediately, but with $6 trillion plus being dumped into the economy that wasn't there before, we're going to see hard assets move up. We're going to see at some point some inflation, and inflation affects hard assets first. So again, great place for us to be. I'd rather own a apartment building or something tangible with income than equity in a stock equities or other things that are not as tangible, or even having money in the bank. I mean, your money in the bank essentially loses value.
And our one project that is a long-term rental, Venture on Wilson, has done well with, had a very good first quarter. We're 100% occupied the whole quarter.
And collected all the rents this month. 100% collection. Yeah, another one of those properties. Great property, great renovation, great location, right in downtown Tempe. We've been asked if the effect of having ASU not in session hurt. You know, I know there's some residents in there that must be connected with ASU, but we haven't had any problems with that. And I think that location is going to bode well. And the other thing is, we've heard from our property managers, they've had to shift the way they're doing business on all their properties, that they're not doing physical tours of properties, they're not meeting tenants at properties, they're leaving keys, they're making virtual videos of walkthroughs of the units. We're having a real strong rental market, and this hasn't affected the rentability at all. So that's another one of those interesting facts that during real recessions, we've seen a pullback in occupancy and people losing jobs and having to find ways of not paying rent, find ways to support themselves while they're doing that. That hasn't been the case yet. Now, we've only been into it for 3 weeks. May 1st is going to be interesting, but what we're told is by May 1st, everybody's going to get some of those stimulus checks. I think that will go to rent and food first, and people don't have to pay taxes. They can defer car payments. They can defer other things. I think it's going to help us in the multifamily side.
So our property is 66th Street that we are running as a short-term rental. As we got into mid-March, we saw the travel restrictions and the lockdown happening. we allowed those reservations to cancel, and we gave them refunds on their cancellation. Of course, spring training was canceled, and all those events went away. Thankfully, we had already had a really strong month, and we had a really strong quarter at 66th Street starting January and February and March. And so we've made some adjustments as we've been working in April and May, and through the ongoing shutdown. People are still actually traveling to Arizona, and hotels are allowed to continue to operate, and short-term rentals are allowed to continue to operate under the shutdown. And so we've lowered our prices, and we've still got several bookings. And we've also rented to some first responders who are here to handle the crisis. So we've been able to adjust. We've been nimble, and we'll make it through. We missed out on a good few weeks there, probably the peak of the year, because spring training was shut down. But we did get a part of it during the first part of the month, and then we'll be able to adjust going forward. We also increased our cleaning standards. When our cleaning staff goes in and transitions from one guest to the next, they're wearing gloves, they're wearing face masks, and they also are sanitizing the unit, the countertops, the appliances, the handles, so that as guests come in, they're assured that they're in a sanitized unit.
So some of the questions we've had are about our construction workers on our properties and our staff. And I just want to remind everybody that when you're doing construction, for the most part, you're not within a few feet of each other. The guy that's installing the cabinets and someone putting in the crown molding, or I'm sorry, the baseboard molding, they're quite a distance apart, and they don't run to each other very much. The other thing is they're used to wearing protective gear. Our tile guys that are cutting tile are always wearing masks anyway. There's a lot of pieces of dust that come out of that. Our guys that are installing tile flooring are doing the same thing. Our guys that are cutting wood are doing it. They're always wearing gloves. They're always wearing face masks, and that's just and goggles. That's just a normal thing they're doing. So in general, that's not an issue. The other thing is because the state of Arizona has said that construction workers, construction equipment, construction materials, Home Depot, hardware stores are all essential businesses. We've been able to get our supplies. We anticipated a slowdown of being able to get supplies in the supply chain. So we went out and bought stuff ahead of time that we knew might be tough to get. Some of the stores are having people wait outside. Home Depot, for example, only lets 20 people in the store at a time. So we anticipated some of that. We ordered that stuff ahead of time, and that's helped. I don't expect much of a problem with that. And we have so many things at some of the properties right now that we bought ahead of time, that we bought at good prices ahead of time, that are put in the Connex cargo containers, that we're just putting things together that we had there, which is helpful.
We've also noticed a little bit of a labor, better supply of labor.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah. Again, hearts go out to all those people that have been affected, but if you worked in a restaurant or you worked in any other business that's been affected by this, you're looking for side work. And we've had people come to us, forgot about that.
And that had been a big challenge for a long time in Phoenix. So that's temporary. That can change, but there's people aren't remodeling their houses right now. So we've been able to pick up some additional labor, and our projects are moving forward at a good pace. So our most recent project, Via Hermosa, we closed on the project a few weeks ago. That project's still open, and we're still fundraising on that, and we expect to for the next several months. The good thing about that is that we have a few months now to prepare the project for renovation, and we're going to be starting the renovation over the next couple of weeks. And then as we get more into the summer, we'll be at our full crew renovating the units, starting with demo, and then getting inside the units and doing the renovation. One thing that's been good there is some new rental supply that has come on the market for nearby the Via Hermosa project is showing that the market rent is much higher. In particular, it's the project that's across from Marlette, 2-bedroom units, 1 bath, are renting for about $2,000 a month. And they're brand new units. But that project is really setting a good comparison for us in rents in that area. So we plan to operate Via Hermosa as a short-term rental, but with these rental amounts going up and the market increasing, we'll also look at that as a potential long-term rental. And we started that from the beginning. We looked at it as both being able to do it as a short-term rental or a regular long-term rental. But with some of these new comps coming into the market, it's improving what we could get it as a long-term rental. So we don't have to make that decision right now. We're doing the renovation. And then as we get closer to the renovation being done, we'll take another fresh look at it and we'll decide, do we want to operate the property as a short-term rental or a long-term rental? Or we may, as John mentioned, do a hybrid model where we do some of both. But we'll take a look at that as we get closer.
Yeah, it's the same process. We got to run it. We've got to demo the interiors out, put new cabinets, flooring, paint, doors, all the things we're doing to those units, new appliances. We're going to do that anyway. It's just a matter of whether or not we spend the extra money on the furniture and do short-term rental. And as we know, Airbnb today, the 9th of April, is not a really strong market. It's working for us on one of our properties, but it's not something we want to rely on going forward until we see how that pans out.
Yeah, and it most likely is short-term, but we have time to make that decision. And the key thing is these buildings are great buildings. They can be operated as a long-term rental or a short-term rental. And so we're in a great position to make that decision. As John always says, we like to have plan A, B, and C in place.
Oh yeah, that saves you in times like this. You got to having the pivot to a B plan, and we've got great units, well located, in the right neighborhoods. Yeah, that's exactly what gets you through times like this.
And it's a beautiful property. I was just there today, and if you're an investor in that property, feel free to drive by, take a look at it. If you're not an investor, drive by, take a look at it. It's a great one to get involved in. In general, we're business as usual. These are kind of the adjustments we've made, and we wanted to talk to all of you, our partners and our investors, and what we're doing. We're having some more Zoom meetings. You know, John and I are pretty close right now because we have to be in the same camera.
The only person Jamison talks to is his dog. The only people I talk to are my kids, so we're fine.
So, but we're not meeting as much in the office. We're following those guidelines, and still it's working out well.
And we had a Zoom construction meeting today. That was interesting. We had people on the some of our construction people on a Zoom call. They loved it. They loved the way that whole thing worked. Had their earphones plugged into their phones, and we're dialed in. And
we may do that going forward.
Yeah, again, a whole new world of how that works. So it's good.
So thanks again for your support. We'll keep you updated and on all of our projects, and we look forward to the next couple of months.